Good morning. First lesson about parties, which is going to be our next section. I'm going to leave a couple things out, excuse me, from the outline. Sorry, I had a little trouble here. But that first part where it says, you should be on the one that the outline says like it's 1999. It's the one with the faces across the top there. Under A, what they do. I'm just going to give you 6 things here. Because when you think of political parties, you generally tend to think of, obviously, Democrats and Republicans and whoever. But the main things here, in no particular order, is that they run elections. When you think about, the last election with all the screw-ups and stuff, generally there's an election board, but the parties are kind of in charge of making sure the polling places are set up and staffed and all that different stuff to make sure those run hopefully smoothly and fairly and all that stuff. Sorry about that glare. Secondly, their job is to mobilize voters. That could be, get out the vote drives. You've all probably seen PSAs and things on Facebook and all these ads, and whether they're celebrities or just regular people, get out and vote, make sure your voice is heard and all that stuff. That's one way. Another way would be try to actually physically help them. It's not uncommon, especially in inner cities, maybe rural areas, but especially inner cities, to pick up like a van goes through a housing project in the inner cities and goes and picks up older ladies and indigent people and people that can't, don't have cars and things like that. And, hey, get on the bus, get on the van, we'll get you some donuts, some coffee, and come on down and vote. And, everybody knows who they're supposed to vote for, whichever party that is, which in that case tends to be Democrats. This could also include things like visiting nursing homes. It also includes things like ballot harvesting, which we talked about. And it also now includes early voting to make sure that happens and increasing the number, like when they put the polling place in Pendleton Library. And then Lucas Oil Stadium down in Indianapolis had some polling places on, I believe, where the Pacers play, Bankers Life, had some as well, designed to get those people. And we'll get you down there. We'll make sure it's easy for you to try to get the vote out for their side, obviously. Next, the job would be to promote and recruit candidates. Normally, when you think about Joe Biden, et cetera, they didn't need to be recruited. They just decided to run. When you have a situation though, where you've got, my home county of Hancock sometimes has this problem where they can't get any Democrats to run because they always lose, or usually always lose. So it's important to run someone, and think about why that is. Because if you keep not running someone year after year after year after election, you're just going to sort of wither and die. So they at least recruit somebody. It may be somebody like the old loyal guy who, hey, once you run, even though you're going to lose. Or it might be the young, like Mayor Pete in training kind of guy who's, I'll take him on and I'll change this party for the better, which, if he does, he does. But the best way to get elected in a place, if you're a Democrat like Hancock County, is probably not live in Hancock County, frankly. But at least it gets your name out there, gets some experience and things like that. So sometimes they'll recruit. By promoting, what I mean is, when you think about the presidential thing with Biden last time, he obviously, after a while, was the party's choice. They thought he was the best bet. They thought he was the one that was going to be able to beat Trump and so on and so forth. So they basically promoted him in many ways. Now, the way this is done on a different level, like a local kind of level, is through a process called slating. Okay, S-L-A-T-I-N-G. And slating is, sorry, I'm going to need this. Where you take, let's say you got 3 Republicans. You got, it's going to draw 3 people here. You got the woman, forgive the stereotype. You've got the nerdy guy, and you've got the business guy. Okay, we'll give them all smiles. Get the idea. Oops, crazy eye. Okay. Now, woman, successful businesswoman, mother of two, moderate in her views. This guy, a bit wacky, just like, I think I'll run for office kind of guy. And then this guy is like, let's say he's more confident than he should be in his abilities, shall we say. Okay. Kind of a, you know the word, but rub you the wrong way kind of guy. So they all run for office as we'll just make them Republicans. You can't stop somebody from running as long as they pay the fee, get filed the paperwork, they get to run. Okay. And there have been several cases where somebody runs for an office under a party, and the party's like, no, nobody wants to be associated with this guy, but there they are. So what they'll do is they'll slate. So let's say we choose her because she's obviously, in this case, the sanest candidate, most electable. So all the promotional material, all of the literature, all the mailings, the endorsements and stuff go to her. Vote Republican. Make sure you vote in the primary, but Sally Jablinski is the one that you should vote for. And it could be subtle or it could be overt. And this is not versus the Republican or Democrat. This is versus other Republicans. Think about the primaries here. So you want to promote the most electable or the most loyal, or ideally both, but you got to think about where you are. You know, getting a Democrat elected in Fishers is way different than getting a Democrat elected in Gary, for instance, where you're going to need somebody that's hardcore. I'm going to fight for the inner city. In Gary, where in Fishers, well, we need somebody that is going to work with Republicans because they're going to dominate and be more moderate that way. So think about, you know, who makes more sense in what area, in what situation, what time, and all that stuff. Okay, so this is a pretty big thing to know. I would say this is a big deal here. The next thing, constituent services. By the way, you and I and everybody else in this district are constituents of state representative, state senator, U.S. senator, U.S. representative, and so on. So that's what a constituent is. Okay. So think about little things, and this is like local stuff, but you get into things like potholes in your road that keep not getting fixed. You call the party, you call the candidate, you call the person in office, and they get it fixed. So they can say, hey, I got it fixed, so vote for me. And you tell your friends, and you go on Facebook, and you say, hey, my congressman got my pothole fixed. Might be simple things like, you guys, I don't know if any of you were in this situation, but I want to get into West Point, or I want to get into Annapolis, or into Air Force Academy. You go through your office of your representative to do that, and they'll help you out with that. And this could also be stuff like getting your Social Security problems fixed and getting you to vote. I mean, that kind of is a form of constituent services and things like that. During COVID, think about taking you down to get shots, or making sure you get tested, or food, like churches do, but parties sometimes do this too, to help out during rough times. Fundraising money used to give to candidates, used for advertising, used for travel, and all the different expenses that a party has. Will often come in the form of, you know, asking big donors, corporate interest groups. Small donors, your parents probably get once in a while a mail or letter in the mail. Can you donate $25? I got a text yesterday from some woman about, it's not over, we need $20 to help fight the good fight to get Trump elected. No idea how I got it, but there it was. So that's a constant thing. And then finally, what's called coordination, and this is where I want to spend a little bit of time on. I want to make sure I have time. Yeah, I've got like 5 minutes. Coordination, and if you can't read this, it says, what does it say? Oh, NSL. simply means national, state, and local. So you think about the National Democratic Party, the State Democratic Party, and the Madison County Democratic Party in our case. That's one form of coordination. I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. The other one is across, like executive branch, think Trump and the Republicans in the Senate, Republicans in the House. So you want coordination with message. So think about message. If you can read this. Okay. Focus. We are going to focus on nothing but climate change. We are going to focus on COVID. We're going to focus on immigration, whatever it is. And that message needs to be similar. Otherwise, you got 48 messages. What exactly do the Republicans believe? So this typically needs to be sort of from the top. When you think about Pelosi, here's what we're going to say about climate change. Here's what we're going to say about COVID and all that. Allowing, though, keeping in mind again, allowing certain members, I can't talk about climate change, Speaker Pelosi, because my district is red and it's a fracking district, and there's no way I'm going to win if I say we're going to get rid of fracking. So I need some freedom to, be flexible. Kind of like, I forget which class I showed it. I only got to show it once. The ad of that guy that shot the bill. I will take aim at cap and trade. Running for a Democratic seat in West Virginia by shooting a rifle through an environmental bill. That is allowing him to go off message. Is a good example of that. Okay, and then with national, state, and local, we want to make sure again that we're getting the same focus on what's important and what's being said, with allowing for individual differences that may need to be done. You're not going to talk about banning fracking if you're a Democrat in Texas. It's just the way it goes, or Oklahoma or something like that. So that is, to me, those are probably the big things, those two things right there that you would need to be aware of. So I will hold that. Hopefully you can read that. You can freeze what you need to do. So, all right, that's good. I'll come back. I'll have another one next time or whatever about the third section. I'm going to kind of skip the fourth section, rather. I'm going to kind of skip or really gloss over second and third because they're not as big a deal. So sorry for the jumpiness of this. Hope you're having a good day. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll see you later.